Hello my friends, and welcome to Watchdog Wargaming. My first review of 2023 is a project review of Warlord Games Boltaction US Airborne starter set, as you can see here. I had this set a few years ago, and I was lucky enough to have been bought one for Christmas. So what I intend to do is open this box up with you, give my honest opinion on the actuals of the sprues and the contents and everything else. Is it good value? Something we can look at. The sprues, this kit's been out for some time, 2016 from the top of my head. So let's see what if the sculpts are still up to a good standard. Are the uniforms as accurate as we would like? Let's join me and we'll go through everything. So here we go with my review of the Warlord Games Boltaction US Airborne starter army. This is particularly aimed at the late war period, 1944 to 45. A lot of information actually on the box, including some excellent artwork, which would be perfect for people who were looking for some form of guide to how to paste their the vehicles and figures up later on. This box set also has the contents list, which we'll go through, and that's in here is 36 times US Airborne infantry plastic, 4 times US Airborne headquarter figures in metal, 1 times US Airborne .50 caliber heavy machine gun team, and that will be the heavy Browning, also in metal, 1 times US Airborne medium mortar team, also in metal, and 1 time US Airborne 57mm anti-tank gun, which is very similar to the British 6-pounder airborne anti-tank gun as well. Assembly instructions, full colour decal sheets and plastic bases. And as it says on here, this great value box set gives you all what you need to start playing with the elite forces of the US Airborne, equipped with the M43 paratrooper uniforms introduced in 1944. They're perfect for actions during Operation Market Garden, the liberation of mainland Europe, crossing the Rhine, and the final push into Germany. I would also push that as up to Korea and also airborne drops post World War II as well. Whether you plan to field them as 101st Screaming Eagles, or the 82nd All-American and 7th Thunder from Heaven, or even the 13th Golden Unicorns Airborne Divisions, the starter force was built around a strong core of battle-hardened paratroopers and vital support teams. The US Airborne are a match for all but the most heavily equipped opponents. Okay, so that's the box on the outside. Let me just open it up and we'll go for everything. And a loose arm, so put that to one side at the moment. I want to have a look at the metals. So we have the US Airborne Starter Army Lead Free Bag 1. So if you're playing the Packer Bingo, this is done by Vass. And then the other one, which is the US Airborne Starter Army Lead Free Bag 2, also by Vass as well. So let's see what these figures are like. What I'm looking for is any undercasts or overcasts, or sort of too much sprue, or where the actual metal hasn't been gone into the moulds completely. I've had a few figures in the past, but that was a long time ago. I haven't been to Warlord Games. I can see what I do know what their process is, and all the figures are actually all checked in various stages. So what we've got here, so in this particular one, this one starts off with this paratrooper with his M43 uniform, Looks like he's carrying an M1 Garand, and he's with his, looks like 50 caliber machine gun ammo boxes. So he looks like he's one of the actual crew for the 50 cal. Again, this is the same individual. A little bit of sprue on there as well, but nothing that can't be sorted with a little bit of clippers. And he looks like he's another loader for the 50 cal with his he's feeding 50 caliber rounds into the machine gun. This looks like the actual person firing the machine gun as well. It's all metallic. Let's put those in there. The 50 cal itself, and also it's the actual frame, its tripod. Previously I had a bit of these were a bit of a pain to me, and they are a little bit fiddly, and you just got to bend them into the right shape of how you want them. Some sprue that's fallen off. So that's the heavy 3-man heavy machine gun team. What else have we got here? We'll try and work him out in a second. So that's clearly the medic, who's got the airborne folding stretcher. You can see him there. Airborne folding stretcher. We have an officer there with the walkie-talkie, carrying a 1911 pistol. Again, another officer with what looks like he's carrying a map as well, and this one's got the M1 carbine. And then finally we have a radio operator. Okay, so that bag's got the heavy machine gun team, the radio operator, the radio operator, the medic, and 2 officers. I'll come back to that one. I actually think he's part of the 50 caliber crew. In fact, I think he is 4-man team. Well, I'll check that in a minute. So that's all in bag 1. Side. Put the sprue in the bin now, because I don't want to get into my dog's paws. Oops. And then bag 2. So bag 2 should, from what I can see, contain the 57mm anti-tank weapon. Very similar in appearance to the British 6-pounder as well. And if you look on this one, this is the airborne variant, as the trails can actually be split. So this can be put in the back of a glider, or potentially thrown out the back of an aircraft as well. But the trails on here do split. You can see the 2 hinges. Got the splash plate, the actual barrel itself, the actual gun for the 57mm. This is part of the actual sort of, I think it's the aiming device on the side, and there should be another one. So that's the we have the axle. That's the bit I was looking for. That's the your 2 winders for your elevation and your height, and also the sighting system as well. In the bottom part of the splash plate. So that's your quite lots of little bits on there as well. So just be mindful. Because I've had issues before with these ones. What I had to look at was drawings, so pictures of actually the 57mm and the 6-pounder as well. It's just that I couldn't work out where where this went was so again using the pictures, I was able to show where I connect these were to be pinned. Once you put super glue on them as well, that's they're usually pretty stuck solid. So it's made that mistake once and probably won't do it again with these ones. And then so here we've got the medium mortar. So I'm not 100% sure whether it's a 60mm mortar or an 81mm mortar, but I'll check that later on. So there's the base plate, that's the legs, and there's the tube itself. And then let's have a look at the crew. So he's clearly holding a 50mm anti-tank round, so he'll be the crew on that one. That's a mortarman just about to drop. So if you can see on there, that's the mortarman just about to drop his round down the tube. That's the 57mm loader. So let's have a look on that one. Okay, so I think this one's actually go with the mortar, but it's actually another radio operator. He's either got a field telephone or a radio there. Again, if you don't want to use this figure, you could actually use this figure as an OP figure. Okay, and I think these are generic crewmen, so you could use 3 on 3, so you can swap them around. Okay, so that's the headquarters element, the 50 caliber machine gun, heavy machine gun, the anti-tank gun, 57mm anti-tank gun, and then your 81mm mortar. That's what's contained within that's the lead 3 figures, I should say, contained within in the starter kit. And we also have the bases as well. Really, really useful. Let me just where that plastic arm is. Myself, I use metallic bases, just gives it a bit more stability. Again, that's more of a personal preference than anything else. We also have the actual bases for the medium machine gun, the mortar, the anti-tank gun. Again, it's that personal preference. I use bases slightly a bit bigger, so I can actually just put a little bit of put some extra scenery on there as well. But it's up to your personal preference. And then we have the sprues. So the sprues, who are these being packed by? This is this is by Myra, and that's the decals that'll give you the 101st or the 82nd, and also then if you've got the different ranks on there as well. Also for your helmet covers, so the helmet for the different companies, and markings for the different companies, and then sort of you've got your medics, and then sort of a generic stars and stripes. Really useful. Now then we've got the sprues, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sprues that contain exactly the same. I did mention these kits were quite old. I think the mould came out in 2016. Yeah, these ones are still 2016 as well. So on here as well, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 paratrooper bodies in the M1943 uniforms. They've got the reinforced pockets and also the strapping on there as well. Various arms and legs with the M1 Garand, M1 carbine, Thompson machine gun as well, and of course the Bar Browning automatic rifle, which was used as there's their saw. They also have, I have to get this right, I think it's the M19 A1, it's another Browning, and it's light LMG roll, light roll. So it just gives you various options as well, the head options as well. So you've got the M1 helmets, but I think there was if I remember rightly, the American paratroopers ones were slightly modified, M1C I seem to recall. But these ones, some have got helmet nets on, some are just helmets themselves with just the chin straps over the top. I've just got lots of variants on the helmets. But also then we have a bareheaded with the Mohican, and also then sort of with the was it the garrison cap, normally used just by the officers. And then on the webbing side you have the this is sort of I'm just trying to remember now. Is it M36 webbing? So there was lots of changes between was it 1936 and 1944 with all uniforms and webbing. It just seems to change quite regularly. Even the colour. So right at the very beginning, this webbing would have been a sort of like a lime green, and all the way up to 44 onwards, where it turns into sort of like a really dark green. So it's again gives you a bit of uniqueness with your figures, depending on how you want to paint them. So you can do the early war with light colours, or the late war dark colours, or a bit of everything, to be honest. So what else you got? You've got the small packs on there. You've got folding shovels. There's like a machete. There's so you got enough figures on here to make a firer, the number 1 and the number 2 person feeding the ammunition in as well. I've already mentioned about the weapons. So a paratrooper carrying a bar, Thompson machine guns. But then also you've got the additional sort of M9 fighting knife magazines for the SMGs. These are, if you can see what these ones are, these are the first aid kits that some of them, in a lot of the pictures, were actually strapped to the person's head, so you can do that or put it onto the webbing. And also you've got a pigeon. So in some of the units, actually pigeons were were dropped in with the paratroopers and were used to carry messages back. And he's got the pineapple grenades as well. So you've got what else on there? If you've got spare arms, so they're carrying for the weapons, lots of ones pointing, ones with binoculars and everything else. And if you want to mix it up as well, you could always add a couple of captured weapons, so you know, Car 98 or MP40. So you know, if paratroopers have been dropped into enemy occupied lands and lost all their weapons and killed some enemy, or come across some captured weapons, just mix it up slightly. Well, as you know, the choice is yours. So you've got those sprues on there as well. That and that give you the up to 36 paratroopers. All same sprues. The actual sprues are actually not bad, to be honest. As I said, there's a few lines that you can come off to just take off with flat edge of a knife or a sprue remover. They are a little bit greasy, so what I would do was, just before I paint them, I would stick them in a bowl of washing up liquid and just give them a little gentle wipe over, just to get that little bit of grease. It just helps for painting. And there's some figures. Yeah, there we are. So just be careful, because as you can see here, this weapon's had its front of its barrel taken off. That's not a problem. What I'll do is I can swap over that for another weapon, or like I said, use a captured weapon instead. The interchangeability with the bolt action range is actually quite good, so you could change that arm over quite quickly with either a US Army or Wehrmacht, or it's up to you. But also as well, it's come with instructions, and actually was saying what is what on the actual sprue. Give you a couple of examples of what they can be made up for, and on here it numbers what item belongs with what. So yeah, so pigeon number 49, yeah, pigeon 49, self-explanatory. And then on the back it gives you an example of a US paratrooper squad for the late war. And this particular one says 1 NCO plus 5 men, so armed with the Garand rifles, the M1 rifle carbines. You can have up to additional 6 men with rifles. NCO and 4 men can carry a submachine gun instead of the rifles for an additional 3 points. 1 man can have a bar, M19, M1918, A2 automatic rifle instead of a rifle for 5 points. Very useful. And then 2 men can have a light machine gun for 20 points for each light machine gun included. Another man becomes the loader. So as you can see on these ones, you've got sprues to make the load around the fire as well. And then the special rules: tank hunters, if anti-tank grenades are taken. If there's nothing on the sprue, again, you can either make them yourself, or green stuff, or utilise other sprues. I believe on the US Airborne the US Army comes with little bags you can use for satchel charges as well, or even the US Marine Corps ones for that. And stubborn. Paratroopers don't get them easily. You're forced to check their morale when you're reduced to half strength. They always take a test on their full morale value, ignoring in-pin markers. And then there's the website address for Boltaction. Now that's my quick and dirty opening the actual box set itself. Again, I was lucky enough that this was bought for me as a Christmas present, but if I was to buy it from Warlord Games, as it currently stands, this starter set, this is £59 for the starter set. But if you were to break it down into the individual prices, is that the actual box set with just the actual troops itself is retailing of £35. The anti-tank gun itself and its crew, that's £18. The heavy machine gun, the 50 cal team, that's £14. The metal headquarter, and that's the I think that's the airborne, so that's the medic, the radio operator and the 2 officers, that's £8.50. The medium mortar crew, that's £11. So in total that was comes up to, was it £86.50. God, I was going to get my maths head on. So it's so you delete one from the other, that gives you £27.50 saving. So that's, that's a good call. Like with most things, there's lots of you don't have to get it from Warlord Games. There is lots of independent companies out there that do a lot of discounts as well. But that's up to you. As I said, because in this case I was particularly lucky. So I don't have a US Airborne force at the moment, and this is something that I will be going on to later on. With a couple of painting tutorials and stuff like that. I paint how I like painting, so there's lots of people out there that painting guides that are brilliant, and to be honest, a lot of them actually do very, very similar. I paint it's how I like things, but we'll go on to that later on. So back into my original question was this value for money? I would say yes. The sprues and the sculpts and everything else are I would say reasonable. As I said, there's with most things there's always scope for improvement, but I do know that new molds, new sculpts and everything else, there is a lot of investment involved in that. And there's all, but Warlord Games have just got new ways of making figures with all their new machinery have, especially with 3D printing and everything else. But as it currently stands in the box set, it's a good value for money, a good place to start for any person that's wanting to get into US Airborne for the first time. So yeah, this gets a thumbs up from me, and yeah, and hopefully you've liked what I've done. And I've just been nattering on about. My next stage on this will be to actually research it. I have lots of books that I've kept on various things over the years. I like to research things before I get before I paint them. These books are kind of very useful, so Men at War, or even the old Osprey books. I think it was Airborne ones you can still get. But these ones I've had for years, came with lots of figures. These are still available on places like eBay and stuff like that. But there's, it's even, you go Google search and it'll come up, or just pop down to your local library. Lots of information down there. I'm really lucky because where I live in Wiltshire, just so in the next valley, that's where the 101st, the old Band of Brothers, did all their training. So it's very this is very local to where I live. So I'll probably be painting these 101st potentially. So there we are. So thank you for joining me for this review. If you like what I'm doing, please like and subscribe. I just want to develop this website for the future, as I said, and the only people who can help me to do that is yourselves. So don't forget to like and subscribe. Pass on the details of this website to anybody else, and if you have any comments or want me to cover anything in particular, please comment below. So you lot take care, and I'll speak to you very soon. Regards now. Bye.